We're now halfway past the Harry Potter series, and now it's time to talk about the fifth movie in the franchise, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Order of the Phoenix was directed by David Yates, who now takes over the series as the director. He directed Half-Blood Prince, Deathly Hallows Parts 1 and 2 as well. And in this movie, Harry's entering his 5th year at Hogwarts. However, Dementors come onto Privet Drive and they try to attack him and Dudley, his cousin. And in the midst of all this, Harry uses the Patronus Charm, which gets him expelled from Hogwarts. However, when a court summons clears him of all charges, he gets back to find that things have changed a bit. The Ministry is starting to slowly take over Hogwarts as Professor Umbridge, now the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, played by Imelda Staunton, has taken over. She starts to inflict certain rules, and the Ministry for Magic is slowly taking over management at Hogwarts. And Harry seems to be having visions of Lord Voldemort, and it seems that Voldemort is starting to slowly control his mind and show him things that are dear to him and things of that sense being lost. Right off the bat, you can probably tell that this is a darker story. It also has certain elements in it which I would expect to be in a Harry Potter film. For instance, the idea of Harry's mind being taken over. Now you have Voldemort coming back, and obviously this is something that is obvious to figure out, is that Harry's mind being taken over, him seeing visions of certain things happening. If you mentally destroy your enemy, you can physically destroy him very easily, because the mind conquers all. And that is the point of this movie. It's trying to show you that by showing that Harry's mind can be controlled and that he must get over that control and not let it get taken over, for otherwise he would be very vulnerable to Voldemort's attacks. This is an interesting theme. It's raised throughout the film, and it also impacts certain decisions he's making around Professor Umbridge, who is slowly taking over things. And while the best part of the movie should be that conflict in Harry's mind between him and Voldemort, the best part of the movie actually is Imelda Staunton as Professor Umbridge. She's fantastic. She was amazing in the movie. If you've read the book, you know her character. And this is one of those cases where a character has been brought to life brilliantly. I never saw an actress pretending to be Professor Umbridge for the camera, which is quite impressive. You felt this disgusting, vile professor do these things to certain students, carry out these cruel methods of punishment, and you felt every single one of that. At the end of the movie, you hated this woman. You were like, I can't even believe it. It didn't feel like a performance. It actually felt like she was the character, which is fantastic. The other great thing about this movie is that it is quite well shot, actually. There are some brilliant shots in this movie. This is not the most well shot Harry Potter film, but there's definitely a lot of things in it which are very well shot. There's some very good editing. Some of the art direction is also really good. There's a beautiful scene where Harry and members of the Order of the Phoenix are flying around London. They're heading towards Grimmauld Place, and during that scene, while they're going through stuff like ships and they're on the Thames River, it's amazing. It's very, very well shot. Also in this movie, the other thing which is really good is the humor. There are some very humorous sequences in this movie. Despite the fact that it has an overall dark tone, there is definitely points where you laugh out loud, and sometimes there are many moments of unintentional laughter as well. The score this time is done by Nicholas Hooper, who does the score for the next movie as well, before being taken over by Alexandre Desplat. And the score in this movie is also really good. There's some very good moments of score in this movie. The theme for Umbridge, the theme for Fred and George Weasley when they carry out the attack on the room while the exam is going on. These are moments where Order of the Phoenix shines. Is it the greatest Harry Potter movie? No, it's not. It's probably my least favorite, but least favorite does not mean bad. Least favorite is still really, really good. I still really like this movie. Where the Order of the Phoenix falters for me are parts where I feel like it could do a lot more. There are certain elements which I feel like are very good in this movie, which are very vital to this movie, but the movie doesn't sometimes go as much into detail as those things, and sometimes there are things things which the movie does, which do not have as great an emotional impact as you would expect them to have. For example, one of the biggest things in this movie, which is revealed coming to the end of the film, is that Sirius Black might be getting killed by Voldemort, and Harry goes along with some students from Hogwarts, like Ginny, Ron, Hermione, Luna Lovegood, Neville Longbottom, and they go to the Department of Mysteries in the Ministry of Magic, and they try to find out what's happening, and they find the prophecy which says neither can live while the other survives. Now, as you know, this is an important part of what's about to happen in the rest of the movies. It's basically that in the end, Harry or Voldemort, one of them is going to die. However, this kind of skimmed past, and I feel like they should have taken more time talking more about this, the fact that this is such an important thing, because in the end, it's kind of just a one-line thing which is shoot in as a dialogue between Harry and Dumbledore. And while this is preceded by a really amazing climax where you have the Order of the Phoenix members fighting against the Death Eaters, where Sirius actually does get killed, it's an emotional scene. You do feel upset about the fact that Harry has lost this member of his family. Gary Oldman in this movie is fantastic, but I feel like they could have taken more time with that, because you see Harry enraged, you see him yell, you see him launch the Cruciatus Curse on Bellatrix Lestrange, played by Helena Bonham Carter in this movie, who's brilliant. And then you have these certain elements where you feel like they could have done more with it. The fight between Dumbledore and Voldemort is easily amazing. It's fantastic. I've been waiting to watch this ever since the Harry Potter series started, and it works. But then again, when you have that happening, the main part of the movie is still this mental battle between Harry and Voldemort. So when that happens, I feel like there should have been more to that, this entire element of what's happening in his mind. I just realized I mentioned a few positives and those negatives. Because the negatives, while they are there in this movie, there aren't that many. There are things where I just feel like there could have been more of. There wasn't anything which was bad in it. I feel like there could have been more, considering you had such an interesting thing going on. Also, the occlumency lessons with Snape, they were very interesting. I would have actually liked to see more of that. If you had to expand the book, expand the book. In the end, however, I just think it comes down to the point that there are things where they could have gone a little further, but they didn't, and I think it's because David Yates was just starting out, so I think he was trying to play it safe in a couple of scenes, which I completely understand. But as the movies went on, you saw that that changed a bit, and he started to take more liberties and start showing more. While I can relate to some of the drawbacks in this film, I feel like there still should have been just a little bit more, just a little more fleshed out tone for the film. Guys, in the end, Order of the Phoenix is a really good Harry Potter movie. It's not exactly my favorite Harry Potter movie, but it does work rather well. There are only things, minor things, which I feel like could be improved. The major problem is that I feel like a lot more could be done with the story. There was more they could have showed, there was more they could have told you about. But in the end, I did really enjoy the film, and I do recommend seeing it if you haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna give Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix an 8.5 out of 10. Guys, what do you think of Order of the Phoenix? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know. I'll have the review for Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince out this Sunday. Look forward to that. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys later.